Hello students, this is about morphology of flowering plants. We have seen the description of flower with so many terminologies. You may recall what is called as a actinomorphic flower and a zygomorphic flower. Actinomorphic flowers exhibit radial symmetry. Zygomorphic flower exhibits bilateral symmetry. Even there are asymmetric flowers also we have seen. You may recall some terminologies based on sexuality of the flower also. There are unisexual flowers and bisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers will have either androecium or gynoecium. Bisexual flowers will have both androecium and gynoecium, like that. You have to understand the difference between unisexuality, bisexuality and monoecious, dioecious and all. Monoecious refers to a plant which has got both male and female flowers in it. Dioecious means two homes. Oecium refers to home. Two plant body in which one is having male flower, another one is having female flower, like that. So these are the terminologies, basic terminologies we have seen. Even you may recall, calyx and corolla are called accessory floral bulbs. Androecium and gynoecium are called main floral bulbs. Calyx is made up of sepals, corolla is made up of petals, androecium is made up of stamen, gynoecium is made up of carpel, you may be remembering. Even in addition to this, we were seeing about some other terminologies also for describing a flower here. Remember, there are certain other terminologies. Some more terminologies I will introduce in today's class. Please listen. You must know the terminologies like what is a trimerous flower, we must know here. Trimerous flower. From the name itself, you can understand tri means three. For this trimerous flower, they will be having three or multiples of three number of floral buds. Multiples of three number of floral buds they will have. Floral buds, number of floral buds they will have. What is the meaning of this definition? These flowers will have three sepals only, or multiples of three. That means 6, 9, like that. These flowers will have three petals only, or 6, 9 petal, like that. Such a flower, three stamen, three carpel, like that. Such a flower having three or multiples of three number of floral bulb is called trimerous flower. Most of the monocot flowers are coming under trimerous condition only. Monocot flowers are example for that. Okay. There are flowers which are called pentamerous flowers also, for here. Pentamerous flower. The pentamerous flowers will be having 5 or multiples of 5 number of floral whorls in them. Multiples of 5 number of floral whorls in them. That will be known as pentamerous flower. Most of the dicot flowers come under this category only. Okay. Dicot flowers we can see. So these are the major categories. There may be tetramerous condition also, hexamerous, like that and all. Of course, hexamerous will come under trimerous condition only. Multiple of 3 it will become. Pentamerous is the 5 or multiple of 5 number of calyx, 5 calyx, sepals, 5 petals, like that it will come. If at all they have perianth, you may be remembering that word, perianth. I told you in the previous class, where sepals and petals are not differentiated, if they become only one accessory whorl, then it will be called perianth. Unit of perianth will be called as what? Tepals. You may be remembering. Sepal, petal, tepal. Sepal is the unit of calyx, petal is the unit of corolla, tepal is the unit of, what is that? Perianth. In perianth also, number of tepals may be usually trimerous. That means 3 or multiples of 3, like that it will be present. So these are some terminologies for describing a flower. Remember, complete flower, incomplete flower we have seen. Actinomorphic, zygomorphic, based on symmetry, like that. Everything, some description of a flower we can see. Dear students, let us go for another important 3-mark question, even 5 marks also it can be asked. How can we describe a flower with reference to position of the ovary we are telling? Please listen. Describing a flower with reference to position of a ovary we are going to describe here. Position based on position of ovary with reference to other floral parts. With reference to other floral parts, how can we differentiate a flower? How can we describe a flower? We are going to see here. Position of ovary, based on position of ovary with reference to other floral parts, how a flower could be described. Listen to me carefully. There are 3 major types of flowers on the basis of position of ovary. Ovary, you know, ovary is a part of carpel. Ovary is a part of carpel. Carpel is the part of gynoecium, you may be recalling. So depending upon that ovary, where it is present, with reference to other floral parts, means calyx, corolla and androecium. With reference to calyx, corolla and androecium, how the ovary is placed, that is called as, what is that? One part we are going to describe a flower. There are 3 major types of flower with reference to position of ovary. One is known as hypogynous flower we are telling. Hypogynous flower. Very important 3 marks, 1 mark question, even in competitive exam. Just concluded NEET 2020. A question was asked based on this topic. This heading, subtopic, hypogynous flower. You must know what is called as perigynous flower also. Perigynous flower. You must know the heading called epigynous flower also. So, 3 types of flower we can describe on the basis of position of ovary with reference to other floral parts. What are other floral parts? Calyx, corolla and androecium. With reference to these things, how can we differentiate the 3 types we are going to see? Very important, try to listen here. Just remember now. You know that all the floral parts are located on thalamus. What is thalamus? Tip of a pedicel is called thalamus, you may be remembering. Now listen carefully. Suppose imagine this is the pedicel and this is the tip of the thalamus or tip of the pedicel called thalamus. It has become somewhat dome shaped here, somewhat elevated like this. Imagine this is the thalamus. Now, upon this thalamus, other floral parts are present. What are other floral parts? Imagine this is the calyx or sepal we can draw here. Imagine these are the petals or brightly colored part of the flower. Imagine this is the stamen, otherwise what is that, androecium part we can say. Now above all of them, calyx, corolla, androecium, here comes the ovary like this, or carpel is present like this means. Imagine this point. Do you understand the diagram here? This is the thalamus, this is calyx, this is corolla, otherwise petal we can say. These are the petals, this is the calyx, this one is stamen we can say, and here ovary is present like this. So where is ovary located? The ovary is located at the top of other floral whorls. Other floral whorls are below the ovary. Do you get my point? These are other floral whorls which are present below the ovary here. So calyx is below the ovary, corolla below the ovary, androecium below the ovary. Such a ovary is called superior ovary, we can say here. That is called as superior ovary. And the flower, the whole flower, the flower which has got a superior ovary is known as hypogynous flower, we are telling. Hypogynous flower. Please listen the word. Hypo means below. Hypo means below. Hyper means above. Hypo means below. Gynous means gynoecium. Below the gynoecium, other floral parts are arranged. That is called what? Hypogynous flower. So dear students, remember hypogynous flower has got which type of ovary? Superior ovary. What will be the shape of the thalamus? Dome-shaped thalamus here. This is the dome-shaped thalamus which has got a superior ovary. Where can we find this type of flower? Hypogynous flower, what is the example? We can say that hibiscus is the best example for this, what is that, hypogynous flower. Hibiscus. Not only hibiscus, cotton family and all, they have got, even lady's finger we are telling, they all have this hypogynous flower where ovary will be superior. Do you get my point? This is one type of flower based upon the position of ovary with reference to other floral parts. Let me come to the second type, perigynous flower. Listen carefully. In the case of perigynous flower, the thalamus will be, pedicel will be like this. Thalamus will become somewhat boat-shaped like this. This is the thalamus which is becoming somewhat boat-shaped, or what is that, somewhat flat thalamus like this. Do you get this point? This is pedicel. This is thalamus. Now, where are other floral parts arranged? Over this boat-shaped thalamus or flat thalamus, we can say calyx like this. We can see corolla or petals like this. Stamens are arranged like this. And ovary is arranged like this. This is the ovary. Style and stigma we can say. This is the gynoecium we can say. Do you get the difference between these two diagrams? Here here dome-shaped thalamus. Here there is a boat-shaped thalamus. This part is calyx. I can say, okay, this is the calyx or otherwise sepal. This is the corolla or otherwise petal. This is androecium. and this is ovary, remember. So you can understand one point. Ovary is present in the same plane of other floral parts. Ovary is neither superior nor inferior. It is present on line with other floral parts. Do you get my point? Ovary is neither above other floral parts nor below other floral parts. All the four floral parts are arranged on the same plane. Calyx is here, made up of sepals. Corolla is here, made up of petals. Androecium is here. So these are stamen, these are corolla, these are calyx. Now here, what is the characteristic shape of thalamus? Thalamus is somewhat boat shaped, we can see. Dear students, such a ovary will be neither called as superior nor called as inferior. They are called half inferior ovary, they can be called. Half inferior ovary. Half means just in the same place we can see. Such a flower is known as perigynous flower, we can see. The flower is called perigynous flower, the second type. Not a complete, what is that, superior ovary. It is perigynous flower, we can say. In NEET 2020, about this perigynous flower only, a question was asked. Anyhow, what is the example for this means? You have to remember about the flowers of plum plant which produce plum fruits like that. Okay, these plants, they exhibit perigynous flower, we can see. Even sometimes this plum and peach we are telling. These are all exhibiting perigynous flower. Even we can remember the rose plant also. The rose like that, they also exhibit perigynous condition. In peri means what? Peripheral, peri means surrounding. Surrounding the gynoecium, other floral parts are present here. Neither they are above nor below. They are on same plane. From the two diagrams only you can come to the third type. From the name itself you can understand what is called epigynous flower. Listen here. In some angiosperms, let me rub here. Okay. Hypogynous I told you, perigynous I told you. I will explain you about epigynous flower also. Listen. In the third category, the thalamus or the pedicel will be like this. The thalamus will become a cup-shaped structure like this. Thalamus is not dome-shaped. Thalamus is not flat or boat-shaped. They become cup-shaped. So this is pedicel. This is thalamus. In this condition, you can see that this part is the calyx containing sepals like this. Here the second floral whorl called petals are present. Here the stamens are present. What about gynoecium means? Gynoecium, or this is the ovary. Here style, here stigma, like that they are present. So remember, thalamus, calyx, corolla, this is androecium or stamen, we can say here, androecium or stamen. This becomes the ovary. So where is ovary present? Below the calyx, below the corolla, below the stamen. Such a ovary will be known as inferior ovary, we can say here. It is called as inferior ovary. Do you get my point? In inferior ovary, what will be the shape of thalamus? Thalamus will become cup shaped. Remember, thalamus will become cup shaped. Other floral parts are arranged above. Ovary is present below other floral parts. When ovary is below the floral parts, it is called inferior ovary. Inferior ovary is found in epigynous flower. Remember students, the word epi refers to above, gynous refers to gynoecium, hypo refers to below, gynous refers to gynoecium, peri means surrounding the gynoecium on the same plane. So this is called epigynous flower. What the example for this means? Ray florets of sunflower we are telling. Ray florets of sunflower. Here I want to tell you one point. Sunflower, even though it is called as flower, it is not a single flower. Sunflower is an inflorescence, remember. You might be knowing about sunflower. The sunflower will be having a disc-shaped structure like this, where you can come across yellow-colored peripheral part like this. Inside there will be a black-color tubular structures present like this. This sunflower is not an flower. It is an inflorescence actually. You know what is inflorescence? Group of flowers. Racemose, cymose and all we told. It belongs to cymose type of inflorescence. In this, how can we say it is an inflorescence means? On the margin of this sunflower, yellow color margins are there, you know, they are called ray florets. As if the sun ray is passing on all directions, these are the ray florets. Centrally located black color tubular flowers, they are called disc florets, we are telling. They are called disc florets. Remember, it is an inflorescence. Sunflower is an inflorescence. It is not a type of flower. It is a type of inflorescence. Remember this point. I think you may be seeing this one, able to see here. Sunflower is a type of inflorescence. It is not a flower, it is an inflorescence. In that inflorescence, which flower are exhibiting inferior ovarium? Ray florets, I can say. Even the fruits are even in the plants like guava also, peru, we are telling, no, those peru and other things, you know, they are also having perigynous flower, I am very sorry, epigynous flower only. So epigynous flower is present in ray florets of sunflower and guava fruit like that, or guava flower we can say. Do you get the three types of flowers on the basis of position of ovary with reference to other floral parts? One is hypogynous flower, second one is perigynous flower, third one is epigynous flower. These are the three types with example, diagram and everything I told you. In hypogynous flower, thalamus become dome shaped. In perigynous flower, thalamus become flat boat shaped. In epigynous flower, thalamus become cup shaped. Otherwise, sunken like this, cup shaped, where inferior ovary is present. Please make note of this point. Very important 5-mark question. It can be asked in 5 marks. Be first. Please make note. Students, in sunflower, regarding epigynous flower I am talking. This is the sunflower. Here means it is not a flower, it is an inflorescence. I told you it belongs to a type called head inflorescence. It has got two types of small florets in it. To go in the margin of the sunflower, we can come across yellow colored structures like this. These are called ray florets. These are called ray florets. In the center, tubular structures are present here. These tube-like flowers, they are many are there. They will be called as disc florets. While ray florets are exhibiting inferior ovary, it is called a hypogynous flower, we can see. So some of you could not observe this one. Let me rub here. Okay, this one you can now see the sunflower. It is for a epigynous flower. But when they ask you 5 more question, if you draw these 3 diagrams and you explain them, that is enough. Make note. Okay, students, let us continue. Further points here. We have seen about different terminologies related to a flower. We are seeing about a morphology of flowering plants, where root, stem, leaf, like that, various parts we have seen. Flowering plants are referring to, angiosperm. The word angiosperm refers to flowering plants. In the flower becomes, in the angiosperm, the flower becomes an important organ. That flower is made up of calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, you may be knowing. About each and every point we are going to discuss here further. So, a flower, again we are going to describe with a few words. Now listen. Regarding calyx, you must know some points actually. The word calyx can be referred as outermost floral whorl of a flower, it can be called. It is the outermost floral whorl of a flower. The calyx is made up of sepals, remember. The number of sepals will be trimerous in monocot, pentamerous in the dicot, like that. Some variation will be there. The sepals will be generally green colored, remember, and it is involved in protection of the floral part, we can say. It is involved in protection. Now I will introduce 2 terminologies related to calyx. You must know what is called as gamosepalous condition and what is called as polysepalous condition. We must know here. Gamosepalous, polysepalous. Please listen. When a flower has got united sepals in them, it will be called gamosepalous. The word gamo refers to united. So the sepals are united in nature. When a flower has got united sepals in it, it will be known as a gamosepalous condition. That means the calyx will have sepals united like this. They are not differentiated. Polysepalous means when the sepals are free in nature, free sepals, then we call it as what is that? Polysepalous. They are not united, they will be separated, they can be separated like this. This is called polysepalous condition, gamosepalous condition. Are you getting this point? Similarly, in some cases, sepals will be permanently present also. Usually sepals will wither off when the flower get fertilized. When the reproduction is over, the sepals will fall down. But in some cases, sepals will be present throughout the lifetime or even after fertilization, fruit formation and all. Very simple is, you know about brinjal. In brinjal, the sepals are like this. They will be persistent, they will be present throughout the lifetime, even after the fruit is what is that, used or eaten actually. This is called as persistent calyx, it can be called. Persistent calyx refers to the sepal which does not fall down, which does not wither off. That is called persistent, we can say. Next to this, I must tell you about corolla also. Just like we are comparing these two things. Corolla means it is the second floral whorl from outside or from the thalamus, it can be called. Outermost is calyx, second inner to the calyx, corolla is present. Corolla is made up of petals, I told you already. Petals are brightly colored portion of a flower, we can say. Brightly colored parts of a flower will be called as corolla, remember. So in different flowers, different colors will be present. What is the function of this corolla? While calyx is meant for protection, what is the work of corolla? What is the work of petals means? Petals are responsible for attracting insects. For pollination, we can say. Pollination. You might have heard this word, pollination. Insects are helpful for pollination, transferring the pollen grains from one flower to another flower. Pollen grains are produced in androecium. From the androecium, they have to be transferred to another flower, gynoecium, like that. Maybe on the same flower or another flower. When it is transported on another flower, we need some agents called insects. Those insects will visit the plant only after getting attracted by the petals, we can say. By seeing the brightly colored petals, many insects will visit. On the other way, they will get some honey or nectar also as a reward for pollination. Anyhow, this is the function is mainly to attract the insect for the sake of pollination. Here also we can come across two things, two terminology. Gamopetalous condition, where petals are united. The petals are united means it is called gamopetalous condition. Plants like datura, which will produce a hibiscus-like flower, but white color flower, you might be observed. They will also be like this, but white color, petals are present. They are all united like this. They could not be taken. Polypetalous condition. Polypetalous. You may be remembering free petals are coming under polypetalous condition. Free petals. Rose flower is the best example, where you can just pluck the petals and sometimes we eat also. Those rose flowers are called polypetalous condition, gamopetalous condition. There is one more interesting point you have to remember. Calyx will not exhibit different shapes, but corolla may exhibit different shapes also. That is another point. Let me discuss here. Corolla will exhibit different shapes. Some of them will be tubular in nature. Some of them will be bell-shaped corolla. Bell-shaped, something like a bell-shaped condition. Some of them will be cross-like or cross-shaped also. Like this, various types of corolla we can come across here in different flowers. That's why different flowers exhibit different shapes actually. Some will be elongated and tubular, some will be circular in shape, some will be cross-like also. Like the various shapes are exhibited by the corolla. That makes the difference between one type of flower and another type of flower. Make note of calyx and corolla. Let me continue further. Another important aspect we are going to see here. Read first. Students, let us go for one more important aspect related to a flower here. Already one 5-mark question we discussed in this lecture, that is related to description of a flower with reference to position of ovary, like that. Hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous flower. Let me come to another important aspect. What is called as aestivation, we all must recall here. Aestivation, very important terminology. What is called aestivation, we have to see. The word aestivation refers to arrangement of sepals and petals over thalamus, it can be called. Sepals and petals over thalamus is known as aestivation, it can be called. So, already I used one word called phyllotaxy. Arrangement of leaves over the stem is called phyllotaxy. Do you remember? Leaves over the stem, alternate, opposite, and what is that? These two major types we have seen. World phyllotaxy, like that. Alternate, opposite, world phyllotaxy. Here it is arrangement of sepals and petals over the thalamus, that is called aestivation. there are another point is position of ovary. So three important questions we are discussing in this part. Now here I am telling you about estivation. Don't get confused between phyllotaxy, then the position of ovary, and then estivation. In estivation, we have to recall some point. Remember some point here. The sepals and petals can be arranged by means of 3 or 4 major types actually. The first type is known as valvate estivation. We have taken valvate estivation. Second type of estivation is known as twisted estivation. It can be called twisted estivation. The third type is known as imbricate estivation. It can be called, remember this point, imbricate estivation. There is a fourth type also. Okay, the fourth type, it is known as vexillary type of estivation. It can be called. So valvate estivation, twisted estivation, imbricate estivation, and vexillary estivation, like that. 4 important types of estivation we can see. What is estivation? Arrangement of sepal or petal over the thalamus. Even we don't use the word and, here we can use the word or. How sepals or petals are arranged over the thalamus. Listen to me carefully. By seeing the diagrams are very important here also. We can see how valvate estivation is there. Imagine now, there are 5 sepals arranged in the thalamus means. Let me draw a thalamus like this, an imaginary condition, a circular, it will be, imagine. In this 5 sepals are arranged, imagine, pentamerous flower it is. That pentamerous flower I can make, what is that, demarcation like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that I am making demarcation partition. In this condition, imagine, this is one sepal present like this. This is another sepal present like this, imagine. Third sepal is like this. Fourth one is like this, imagine. And the fifth sepal is like this means. There are totally how many sepals? 5 sepals are there. In these 5 sepals you can observe their margins are simply touching each other. The margins are simply touching each other. They do not disturb each other or they do not overlap each other. Such a condition where the sepals are arranged over the thalamus, in which they do not, or their margins are simply touching each other. The arrangement of sepal over the thalamus in such a way that their margins are simply touching each other is known as valvate estivation, we can say here. This is called valvate estivation. It is not only applicable for sepals, even petals may also be arranged like that only, may also be found like that. That is called valvate estivation. Example for valvate estivation is sepals of hibiscus, we can see. Hibiscus sepals exhibit valvate estivation. Okay. Let me come to the second condition called twisted estivation. From the diagram you can understand this point clearly. Twisted estivation I am going to tell you here. Imagine this is the thalamus or the condition like this. Here also pentamerous condition I am drawing. Imagine, okay, pentamerous condition. 5 petals are there. Let us take petals this time. Here, imagine, I told you already, either sepal or petal, anything can be arranged in this manner. Suppose imagine, in this condition, one petal will be like this, another petal will be arranged like this, the third petal will be arranged in this manner, fourth petal is arranged like this, fifth petal is arranged in this manner, like this means. Do you get the diagram? This is first petal, second one, third one, fourth one, like that they got arranged. In which one of their margins will be inside, another margin will be outside. Otherwise, the sepals or petals are arranged in such a way that they will overlap each other. This margin will be overlapping the other neighboring petal. This margin will be overlapping, one side outside, one margin inside, one margin outside. Such a condition is called twisted, something like a screw it will be. One side is inside, one margin is inside, another margin is towards outside, means we call it as a twisted estivation. Let me explain this. The second one is called a twisted estivation. Example for twisted estivation is petals of hibiscus, I can say here. You may be recalling this point also. In hibiscus you can see petals. They are not present just in a valvate. Sepals are valvate, petals are twisted. Where one margin inside, one margin outside, like that they are arranged. That is called twisted estivation. You may be recalling the difference between this diagram and this diagram. Third one is imbricate estivation. Let us see here. Very simple. Try to listen. Imbricate estivation. Imagine another, what is that condition? Thalamus like this. Here also 5 petals are there. Imagine. Out of the 5 petals, they are neither in valvate nor in twisted, but in some irregular manner they are arranged. Somewhat in irregular, no particular pattern they are following. For example, out of 5 petals, imagine one petal is completely outside. Another petal is completely inside. Completely means both margins are inside. Remaining 3 petals are there, they are in twisted condition. Imagine this point. Twisted means there one margin is inside, another margin is outside, like this. Here you can see this margin is inside, another margin is outside. Here you can see they will be like this. Do you get this point? This is called imbricate estivation. What is the speciality of imbricate estivation? They are neither completely valvate nor completely twisted. I will explain it, listen here. Imagine this is the first petal, this is the second, second petal, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Out of 5 petals, the first one is completely outside. Third one is completely inside. Both margins are inside. Remaining 3, 2, 4 and 5. Remaining 3 are in twisted. Twisted means what? One margin outside, one margin inside. In this way. This is completely outside. This is completely inside. Remaining 3 are in twisted condition. We will call it as imbricate estivation. It can be called imbricate estivation. Where do we find imbricate estivation? Petals of gulmohar, we can see here. Petals of a flower called gulmohar. They exhibit this type of imbricate estivation. One margin is completely outside, one margin is completely inside, remaining 3 are in twisted condition. Dear students, let me go to axillary inflorescence. Another important one. Something a special type it is. It is neither exhibiting any of these three types. Let us come to the next type, axillary inflorescence. Here also 5 petals are there, but one of the petals will be very large and arranged like this. A larger petal like this, bigger one. This petal is called as standard petal, it will be called. This larger petal is called standard petal or vexillum petal, it can be called. There are 2 more petals on the sides. They are arranged in twisted condition here. 2 petals on the sides here. Those 2 petals are called as wing petals, they can be called, or otherwise lateral petals, they can be called. Wing or lateral petals. So one is completely outside, larger one. 2 are on the lateral side. Remaining 2 will be united and petal and present inside. These 2 are united. Gamo petals. Remaining 2. 4th and 5th will be joined with each other. They are completely inside. Remember, these 2 petals, they are called as keel petals. We are telling. Standard petal will be 1 in number. Wing petals are 2 in number. Keel petals are 2 in number. Such a condition is known as vexillary inflorescence, vexillary aestivation, it can be called. It is called vexillary aestivation. Vexillary aestivation is otherwise known as, there is another name for it, papilionaceous. Papilionaceous corolla, papilionaceous inflorescence, it can be called. Where do we see this papilionaceous corolla? In pea flowers. Flowers of pea plant will exhibit this papilionaceous corolla. Botany we are telling, that is pea. In that pea flower, we can come across vexillary inflorescence. Dear students, remember I told you about 4 types of aestivation. Valvate aestivation, twisted, imbricate, vexillary. In valvate aestivation, the margins of the sepal or petal will be simply touching each other. In twisted aestivation, the margins of the petals or sepal will be overlapping each other. In imbricate aestivation, one of the petal or sepal will be completely outside, another one will be completely inside, remaining 3 are in twisted condition. In vexillary inflorescence, they will be called papilionaceous corolla. 5 petals are there. One is large and standard petal. 2 of them are wing petals, they are present on lateral side. Remaining 2 are united, they are present in keel petal. Keel petals, they are called. One important point is vexillary inflorescence is otherwise known as papilionaceous corolla, papilionaceous condition. Vexillary aestivation, I am using the word inflorescence, vexillary aestivation is otherwise known as papilionaceous corolla. Or otherwise, it can also be called as descendingly imbricate also. It is also known as descendingly imbricate aestivation also here. Remember, pea plants, pea flowers exhibit this descendingly imbricate conditions. So students, I told you about aestivation. Another important 5-mark questions. In competitive exams and all, Many questions are asked based on maxillary inflorescence. Many are there. Anyhow, remember the 4 types of aestivation. Don't get confused between phyllotaxy and aestivation. Phyllotaxy refers to arrangement of leaves over the stem. Aestivation refers to arrangement of sepal or petal over the thalamus. Don't think that if sepals are valvate, petals should also be valvate. It is not like that. Petals can be of any type. Remember this point. So students, this is regarding aestivation. Let me stop with this in today's class. In today's class, I told you about 2 important 5-mark questions. Position on the basis of position of ovary with reference to other floral parts. How can you differentiate the flowers? Hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous. Now then I told you aestivation also. Valvate, twisted, imbricate and maxillary. Let me stop with this. We shall continue in the later classes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.